Welcome, everybody, to the NFL Draft Geeks coverage of the 2019 NFL Supplemental Draft. I'm Brian Johannes, and what we're going to do on this episode is we're going to take a look at the prospects that have entered the 2019 Supplemental Draft, give you kind of an overview of what the Supplemental Draft is, and then kind of hit in on a few of the prospects that are in this draft, what about them, and where they could be going in the 2019 NFL Supplemental Draft. Now, if you don't know much about this, what the Supplemental Draft is, it's for those prospects that weren't eligible for the 2019 regular draft, and then something's happened that's caused them to leave school. A lot of times there's academic issues. Sometimes there is some off-the-field issues that they're not going to be playing in the upcoming college football season, so they've left college. Now they're going through the pros. The supplemental draft is different in sense. It's not like the regular draft where the teams meet and you go up and make your picks. What happens is teams submit where they think they want to pick. So, for example, last year, Sam Beal from Western Michigan was taken in the third round. So what happened is the New York Giants, who ended up taking him, said, we want him in the third round. And so they went through the first round. No one put a first-round claim on him. It moves to the second round. No one put a second-round claim on him. So it moves to the third. And based off of last year's draft order, they go, and it happened to be the Giants were the first team that had put a claim on him. And so he goes to the Giants. And then what happens is the Giants then lose the next year's, third-round pick. So, at this time last year, Giants put that in, and then a couple months ago at the supplemental draft, the Giants didn't have their third-round pick. So whichever team takes one of these guys, they're not going to have that pick next year. So if someone puts a second-round claim next year, they won't have a second-round pick in the 2020 NFL draft. So that's kind of how the supplemental draft goes. There's 5 guys that have declared for this supplemental draft. We have Northland Community College tight end Devontae Clarington. We have St. Francis defensive back Bryant Perry. Syracuse linebacker Shaheem Cullen. And then the 2 guys that have the best shot at getting drafted, and the 2 that we're going to kind of take the most look at, and that is West Virginia wide receiver Marcus Sims and Washington State safety Jalen Thompson. Okay, so those are the 5 guys that have declared. As I said, I think Thompson and Sims are the best guys that are going to go. A lot of times what you see with the supplemental draft is they don't go where they normally would. Usually you go a round or 2 lower just because you have to give up that pick in the next year's draft. A lot of teams, unless this is a slam dunk stud player, they are a little bit more cautious. When we saw a few years back, Josh Gordon was this freak of an athlete. He had some off-field issues. That's why he was in the supplemental draft. He was a second-round pick. He had first-round talent. If he would have been in the regular draft, he probably would have been a first-round pick, but he fell to the second round because you tend to go about a round later. Sam Beal went in the third round last year's supplemental draft. He probably would have been a second-round pick as a cornerback based off of his traits and athletic ability. So when we look at these guys, we got to kind of say, okay, this is where I kind of have him graded. This is where I think he would normally go in an NFL draft. So we're going to have to pick him, maybe a round or 2 less. But let's go ahead. Let's get into, I want to kind of talk about Marcus Sims and Jalen Thompson, just because those are the 2 guys that I feel have the best chance of getting selected. So let's learn a little bit more about them. Let's start off with Marcus Sims from West Virginia. He just had his pro day. He's 6 foot, 188 pounds. He had a 36-inch vertical leap. He ran a 4.40 40-yard dash. That was his best time out of the 2. The thing about him is when he went through his workout at West Virginia, they moved it inside because of bad weather. And then something was wrong with air conditioning. There was reports that it was over 100 degrees in their practice facility, and Marcus Sims gutted through that workout, still did well, and so that kind of impressed a lot of teams. He had probably over a dozen teams that attended. The 49ers and the Vikings and the Ravens all sent their directors of scouting. I believe the Ravens sent their pro personnel guy. Mike Mayock himself was there. So those are the teams that you think might be the most interested in him. Those teams that kind of need receiver depth. You look at the 49ers, they've got a lot of pieces, but they could use some depth. The Vikings, they've got Thielen and Diggs, but they don't have much else besides that. Baltimore's reworking their whole offense. The Raiders have a stud in Antonio Brown, but what else do they have besides that? When you watch Marcus Sims on tape, the West Virginia Mountaineers, they had a good offense this past year. That you've had Will Grier at quarterback. You had David Sills, who was a converted quarterback to receiver. Marcus Sims was kind of that third guy in that offense. He's kind of a true speed guy. He's got decent height at 6 foot. He's thin, but he can work his way down the field. He's got the ability to, get out in space and use that speed and quickness to get into space and create some separation. He's got solid hands. He's able to make hands catches. He can track the ball down the field. He's still a little bit of a route runner. West Virginia's offense, it's that wide open, air raid type attack under Dana Holgorsen, and so he got put in advantageous spots. He always played that left outside position. He could really kind of put a foot down and accelerate to get open, whether it's a slant, whether it's a go route, a post, whatever it may be. He's able to really put that foot down and accelerate. So I think those raw route running ability is going to kind of hurt him in some teams' eyes, and kind of look at him as a project, which a lot of receivers kind of come into the NFL as. If I have to take a guess with Marcus Sims, I have a gut feeling he's not going to be drafted. I think he'd be a day 3 guy. I had him kind of as a rotational depth type player when I graded him out. So that's usually your day 3. So if you kind of bump him down because it's a supplemental draft, I think the 7th round is the highest he'll go. But I have a gut feeling he's not going to be drafted. All right, the other guy I think the lock to be drafted is Washington State safety Jalen Thompson. Here's a guy he's 5'10", 186 pounds, and for a safety that's not very big. He played kind of a hybrid safety cornerback role at Washington State. You'd see him line up too high, but he played a lot in the slot, especially. I watched the USC game. And he played as the game progressed, he started playing a lot more in the slot, and he's got some cornerback, experience in his belt. He had 24 teams at his combine or his pro day. The Green Bay Packers reportedly have shown the most interest. They're another team that's continuing to look to build up their secondary. They've added a lot of pieces over the last few years. New England, the Rams, Miami, Indy, and Arizona are all teams that have also showed some interest. New England and Miami are two kind of teams to kind of watch just because they like these versatile defenders that can kind of do a lot of different things. At his pro day, he measured out at 31 and a fourth inch arms. He had a 33.5 inch vertical leap, 4 foot 5 inch broad jump. He ran the 40 in 4.47 yards. So he's got some speed. He's got some quickness. When I watched him on tape, you saw a lot of those physical traits. He showed the ability to get some depth in his drops. When he played cornerback out of the slot, he was able to play press. He was able to play off coverage. He's able to, quickly flip those hips and go. He's able to accelerate with the receivers. He kind of put himself in some negative spots, getting too high and letting the receiver seal him off. He got little out of position on a deep throw and had to grab the receiver to stop him and got flagged for the pass interference. But overall, he's got some hope. He's got some potential. I think he's a guy that's probably going to be best suited for that nickel, but his ability to play safety I think definitely helps him out, and a defense that can kind of move him around between a safety and a corner I think will help. When I graded him out, I once again graded him as a depth type player. I kind of had around a 4th round grade on him, and according to Tony Pauline, that's kind of where teams had him too. So you kind of think that's kind of push him down. I think questions about his tackling and toughness is going to linger with him. So I think he's probably a 6th or 7th round pick. I wouldn't be shocked if he fell to the 7th round. I wouldn't be shocked if he didn't get drafted at all. It's not, this supplemental draft class this year isn't the greatest, and there's been years where no one's been drafted. So if Jalen Thompson doesn't get drafted, it's not going to surprise me. I think he'll probably get picked in the 6th or 7th round just because teams need defensive backs so much, and here's a guy that can kind of do a lot of different things. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this look at the 2019 NFL Supplemental Draft. I hope you guys enjoyed this. You got a little glimpse of these different prospects, and it helps you out as you either are preparing for this or your team got picked one of these guys and you want to know a little bit more about them. Thanks for watching.